Detective, what is the meaning of all this?
Madame, I ask that you all lend me your ears for only a few moments. What I have to say is of great significance to everyone. You are all invited here to celebrate the engagement of Mademoiselle Angeline Vandenbosch and Monsieur Gédéon Desmire, the coming together of two prevalent families. But the celebrations were short-lived, as Major Felix Hagen was found dead in his study by a young servant of the house. It then became my responsibility and obligation as a detective to uncover the truth behind his demise. My initial examination of his study exposed a number of things I did not expect to find. Things I have no desire to divulge at this time, but what I can say is this. It was no simple murder. A letter demanding ransom for a continued silence confirmed this. I am sure some, if not all of you, have heard whispers of a series of blackmails that have plagued the social elite in recent weeks. After hearing of the letters in the Major's study, you may ask if it was him behind the letters. You may further ask if he was preparing his next threat to another unsuspecting victim. It is a question that crossed even my mind. That was until I sought the truth. That in fact it was the Major that had fallen victim to our blackmailer Mystérieux. Last night I spoke with you all, confirmed your whereabouts in the house over the course of the evening, and while I would have expected such questioning to reveal a potential suspect, what I learned was that it could not have been one of you.
What do you mean, not one of us? The man was stabbed. He hardly did that to himself. There is still a killer in the house.
Pardon, monsieur, if you would allow me to finish. It could not have been only one of you. Rather a partnership, in cahoots, if you will. Conversations today have revealed facts that I was not expecting to discover. And although they may have muddied and complicated my investigation, what I must do to bring the guilty parties to justice has become clearer. Those of you that spun stories in an attempt to confuse and derail my investigation have made a grave mistake in underestimating my intelligence. Other detectives may fall for such deception, but I can assure you, Detective Poirot is no such fool. My investigation is far from over, and swift justice shall be dealt to those that have committed such appalling acts and have continued to mislead and lie to protect themselves. Now, I must continue mon enquête, and I shall leave you to consider that you may be beside a cold-hearted killer. Bonsoir. Monsieur Sterling, un moment.
Quite the speech, detective.
Merci, but it was not made to entertain, more to warn the guilty parties that I am hot on their heels, no matter how clever they believe themselves to be.
Well, if there is anything I can do. Is that really necessary?
The murderer remains at large, and there is still no sign of the weapon. I would say that makes them essential.
Of course. I still just cannot imagine any of them being guilty of his murder.
It may be hard to imagine, but it is the truth.
Nothing. But I was so preoccupied with the Major. Sorry, detective. Should I have?
Perhaps it was just my mind playing games again.
Maybe one of the guests got lost and wandered in. Master Hagen had a key, obviously, and Lady Vandenbosch. When requested, aye. If something is required from there when Master Hagen is not around.
Forgive me. If he is not around, how is it you access this safe?
It's not what you think, Detective.
What I think is that you have been trusted with a copy of the key, and you have lied to me about it.
I only lied because of the trouble I can get into with Lady Vandenbosch.
At this moment, monsieur, you should be more worried about the trouble you shall find yourself.
I know how it will sound, but I lost my key. I must have set it down somewhere, and it has been tidied away. Master Hagen asked so rarely for me to go in the safe, I didn't think it would be missed. I should have said this morning. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, I am not quite sure you understand the severity of what has happened.
I am well aware, Detective. I just thought she would be able to help.
Would you allow a man with a smoking gun to remove his bullet from a victim's chest?
I suppose not.
I would like to begin my searches now. Since it is closest, I will start with the west wing.
I may not be back when you return. Here is the key to the other rooms. Please return it when you're done.
Merci. I shall guard it with my life.
Entrez. Detective, what a pleasure.
In a purely professional capacity.
There is no need to act so stiff, Detective.
Madame, after the revelation of your actions last night, I'm afraid my sense of humor is all but gone.
I will not apologize again for merely trying to help. Shall we get straight to it then? Let us not waste your time any further, Detective. That would be Inga. She has been one of the most promising young women that has come from the shelter.
Madame Vandenbosch took in a young lady from your shelter.
There is no need to sound so surprised, Detective. She does have a heart.
I did not mean to sound so cruel. I just did not expect Madame to hire someone of that background after the incident with her previous maid, Florette.
People change, Detective. You should not judge someone on their past actions.
Believe me, Countess, I know that only too well.
Be careful, Detective. That almost sounded like a compliment.
It is your actions in this house that have been questionable, Madame. Your work outside is something that many more could take note of.
We do what we can. We wouldn't be doing a very good job if I could only help one girl. I in fact found work for one of them as a maid in Monsieur da Silva's house recently.
She has fitted into Monsieur's home well.
What is better, Detective? That she remained in an abusive house, or she is able to rebuild her life with an honest wage in a prosperous house?
When put like that, is she happy in her position?
The happiest she has been in years. I check in with them all as often as possible. And if there was a problem, I would know.
Merci, madame. Ah. Mhm. Aha.
Go ahead, detective. A compliment and now an apology. Well, detective, you certainly have changed your tune.
There was something I was still unsure of. You mentioned that your training was some years ago.
From my days as a nurse, oui.
If that is so, why would you have brought several pieces of equipment usually found in a physician's bag?
One must always be prepared, detective.
Prepared? At an engagement celebration?
If I had not brought them, I would not have been able to assist you last night. Perhaps you should be thankful for my precaution and not so suspicious.
Merci, madame.
Detective, what can I do for you?
Mademoiselle, I am sure you understand my reasoning for such intrusion.
If it's going to clear my name, be my guest.
If you wouldn't mind answering some questions, it can hopefully be cleared faster.
Like I said, he's not the man he wants everyone to think he is.
Oui, but how is it you came to that conclusion?
You don't really want me to recount every conversation I've had with him, do you?
There is one particular I had in mind.
An argument would imply it was a two-way conversation.
And that is not how it was?
Here it is. I've been helping Angeline get exposure, her marriage to Gideon is big news, and his work is really paving the way for others. I saw the chance to get their names out there, and he didn't like it.
What was there not to like?
Your guess is as good as mine, detective. But if I had to, I'd say he was jealous it wasn't his name at the top of the article.
And his reason to storm off?
Oh, you know about that. Let's just say I didn't accept his pathetic attempt to get me to stop the story. If you're gonna try and pay someone off, at least make it worth their while. You've really got a fascination with that guy, huh?
I would not say fascination. An interest, perhaps.
Well, I'll save you the bother of trying to find out more about him. He's not that interesting. In fact, he's a bit of a wimp if you ask me.
That is not the impression I got of him.
That's because you've only seen the side of him he wants you to. He knows what to say in front of the right people. But behind closed doors, he's clueless. Let me guess. The first thing he told you was that he was a union leader. No, the voice of the people.
A man that is proud of his work is not something to be sneered at.
Don't get me wrong, he has a way with words, and he can certainly rally a crowd. But that's about it. At the end of the day, he's a representative and nothing more. He's got to play the part, not just learn the lines.
Merci, mademoiselle. I shall leave you to relax.
Sure thing, Detective. And if you change your mind on that exclusive about that shooting...
If I do change it, you shall be the first to know. Huh. Oh. Oh. Aha. Huh.
Go right ahead, Detective. All Felix cared about was money and filling his pockets with it. That's why he got into bed with De Silver.
The Major was not in need of money, though.
Need and want are two very different things. As far as I know, De Silver hired him to work security. He was worried what could happen to his precious factories if things got ugly.
And your reporters were there to cover the story when it did turn that way.
My reporters go where there is news to be told.
And you predicted the violence that occurred?
Anyone could see that was gonna happen. If you ask me, Hugo should have acted sooner.
Merci, mademoiselle. I shall leave you to relax. Oh. Aha. Huh. Oh. Ah. Mademoiselle, we meet again.
Bonjour, Monsieur Poirot. Pardon, Détective Poirot.
Just a detective is quite all right.
Bon, can I help you with something? I was taking him a plate of food, but he didn't answer to my knocking.
You then entered the study.
I did. He wasn't moving. He just lay there.
I did not mean to upset you again. Seeing him there would be troubling for anyone, and I'm sure it is not a memory you wish to relive.
I suppose we're like a family. We argue, but most of the time we get along.
You must all be quite close, then.
Some more than others.
You refer to whom, mademoiselle?
Well, Maman Rihanna, she's been here the longest, and she's very close with Lizzie on account of Luke. Maman Ray is Luke's sister. You didn't know that? I thought she would have said. She talks about him all the time. It must have been awful, losing him in those riots. Apparently, he was right at the front when they were charged. They didn't stand a chance. If I had been the one responsible for his death, I wouldn't want Maman Ray looking for me.
Mademoiselle Rihanna, Maman Ray, she has expressed her desire for revenge.
Every time she talks about what happened. I guess you wouldn't know anything about life on the streets.
It is not an experience I have had to face personally, but I understand that many are forced into it, and the lifestyle that comes with it.
The lifestyle of a thief, you mean?
Put rather bluntly, oui.
You are the first officer that has not taken one look at me and pulled out their handcuffs.
Mademoiselle, I can see you have turned your life around, and I commend you on your efforts.
Without the Countess, I would probably be rotting in a cell somewhere.
Merci, mademoiselle. Monsieur Demir, I hope you are feeling better today.
Nothing a good night's sleep couldn't fix.
Très bien. I wonder if you would be up to discussing certain matters with me.
Whatever you need. I lost my taste for death a long time ago, but it had to be done. I'm certainly in no rush to be carrying a dead body again, though.
Most understandable. I shall extend the same gratitude to you as I did to your brother.
You've spoken to him already. How is he?
Perhaps that should be a question you ask him yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I bet he had a lot to say. He always did have an opinion on the war.
When I say your past, I refer to your past as brothers.
Oh. Okay, well, what did he say?
It seems you both had the same sentiment for this party. Perhaps the bridges that you thought were once burnt are in fact primed to be reconstructed.
We'll see how probable that reconstruction is going to be. Until he sees my point of view, I don't know how we can move forward.
What is there for him to understand before the bond can be repaired?
He lost his friends in the war, the same as everyone. But somehow he has forgiven. I'm sorry, Detective, I can't. And Gideon just doesn't understand that. Those two, close.
They must share something in common to be able to hold the conversation for the time they did.
If there is one thing I know about my brother, it's that he will not. No. He cannot be rude. He just doesn't have it in him.
Was it not your brother that punched Monsieur Hagen?
Ah, that's different. He was asking for it. If you put my brother in a room with 5 socialites like her, he would work his way around every single one of them, offering his full attention and finest manners.
Merci for your assistance, monsieur. Ah.
Always got time for my favorite detective. The dagger. I wondered how long it would take for that to become an issue.
I shall give you the opportunity to explain the reason for it being here before I jump to any conclusions.
It was going to be a wedding gift for Gideon. I've maybe not been the best brother in recent years. I thought this could make up for some of it. After what happened to the Major, I thought it was a bit tasteless.
You did not see it fitting to tell me you were harboring a rather sizable knife in your room?
I wouldn't say harboring. And I wasn't expecting to be a suspect in a murder.
Merci for your assistance, monsieur. Mhm. Oh. Huh. Oh. What a revelation! Another success. I never doubted myself. Some would say a lucky guess. I would say a moment of genius. Ah. Monsieur de Silva, I am sure you understand the necessity for this type of search.
Not really, Detective. Your speech was rather spirited, but it did not give me much faith in your investigation.
I have not had my abilities questioned to my face by one of those I suspect of a crime before.
Well, if you wish to prove me wrong, you should hurry up and find Felix's killer.
And I hope, with your help, monsieur, I shall.
Yes, I helped him invest some money. Unfortunately, he was not the businessman he thought he was.
Madame Vandenbosch had a very similar view. At least he could have taken solace that you were both in the same position.
I think you're confused, Detective. It was Edwin that lost his fortune, not I.
Forgive my naivete. If you were helping him make viable investments, would you not have seen the same opportunity for yourself?
I told him about the opportunities. I did not tell him to put his whole family's wealth into it. The prospect of doing good meant more to him than his profit margins. He was bound to fail.
The business declared bankruptcy.
It did, until it was purchased for a fraction of its worth and made the new owner a small fortune. Everything that I want to say on that matter has already been said.
I understand, monsieur. But what I would like to know is, was the late Viscount aware of your feelings towards his wife?
Excuse me, detective, but you have crossed the line.
Cross the line like an attempt to bankrupt a business partner and friend so that you'll be able to swoop in and impress a certain target of your affections.
You make such ridiculous accusations without a shred of proof.
Your reaction at the mere suggestion is proof enough, monsieur. While I cannot arrest you for betrayal of a friend, I can hope your conscience does not forget, and that will be punishment enough.
He didn't have much to speak of. I was always surprised at the life he lived.
Surprised in what way?
Well, considering it wasn't that long ago he came to me asking about work, I didn't think he was in such good financial shape.
You offered him a position.
Nothing that he was willing to lower himself to. That's when he began talking about what else he could do for me. If you can call what him and his team did security. For the money I paid, I did not expect them to be so reckless.
It was a considerable amount you paid him?
There's no need to divulge amounts, but it was certainly more than was expected. He said they were all professionals, but I saw nothing of the sort. He said he had worked with them all in the army as their superior officer. They were men that could be trusted.
But that was not the case?
I had not even met them before they arrived on site. They brought their own equipment. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
And this equipment, it included the weapons that injured and killed the workers?
It was not much of a choice, detective. I said they didn't need them, but Felix said it was essential. He said he knew better.
That is all for now. Huh. Aha. Ah.
What is it now, detective?
I have spoken of a potential blackmail ring, and yet you still kept your letter to yourself.
It is none of your business, and it is nothing more than a cheap trick to have me admit something that is not true.
If that were the case, it would be strange for you to have kept the letter and brought it with you, would it not?
Your persistence is a trait I do not enjoy. No reason, detective. Merely saving you from wasting your time.
I will be the judge of that. I would like to know about any and all evidence that may help my investigation. I trust there is nothing else you deem a waste of my time.
Of course not, officer. It's not as though you think I'm harboring some illicit secret. The letter was a pathetic attempt to intimidate me. Nothing more. I have never heard so much rubbish in all my life. I value those that work hard and deserve it.
That suggests there are some that you do not respect.
Yes, well, why should I praise someone for doing a poor job? You make me sound like some monster.
Monsieur, the letter does not only discuss your questionable business dealings, but also cases of abuse against your staff. Both accusations that must be taken very seriously.
Detective, there is a difference between telling a member of my staff what to do and abuse.
And it is you that decides where that line is drawn?
In my house? Yes, it is. Excuse me? Detective, I think you are beginning to lose your mind.
I do not think it is unreasonable to question why you would feel the need to bring a letter opener with you.
Really, Detective? If I had stabbed a man with it, do you really think I would have left it lying out in my room? Yes, and no one asked them to.
But surely it is beneficial to both parties. Your profits must have been affected.
There are barely any profits to speak of.
Why have those talks not taken place and the deal arranged?
Monsieur Beckers has made no attempt to speak with me and offered no counter-offer. The ball is in his court, Detective. Please stop calling it that. I treat all my servants exactly how I always have, and no one has complained before.
That does not mean your behavior is appropriate.
They have one chance. If they are not doing the job they are hired to do, they are gone. You would be surprised how many staff expect an easy...
Is there a specific member of staff that may have expected such a ride?
There is one girl, a new maid. I didn't expect great things from her, but Comtesse de Vos promised me she could do what was required.
That is all for now. Things are beginning to become clearer. Magnifique. What a revelation!
What is it now, detective? She approached me. I thought it was rather brash.
In what way?
Assuming that I would want to take on another servant, and one from such a troubled background. She is running the charity, not I. When he came to me, I told him that with the factories on strike and my profits pouring down the drain, I had nothing for him. But he said he could help me get them all back to work and the factories earning. His rates were steep, but he said he knew what needed to be done, and he was prepared to do it. A week passed and they were all still on strike. In fact, even more had joined them. He made excuse after excuse, demanding more and more money for the job to be done. But he never actually told me what he was going to do.
The riots.
I had no idea they were going to charge them like that. How was I meant to know?
And even following such a tragedy, he continued to demand money from you.
He said if he wanted my silence, it would cost. Do you have any idea what it could do to my livelihood, my name? If it got out that I had paid the so-called security that did that.
I have every idea, monsieur. You hired a militia to take action against your own workers. You deserve whatever name is chosen for being so morally bereft in your decision.
I didn't know that was what he was going to do. You must believe me.
I have to believe nothing but the truth. And the truth, monsieur, is that it is not only the Major that has the blood of those men on his hands. That is all for now. The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
Is there something you need, Detective? She helped me at the shelter and with this job.
That I am already aware of. What I am not is what else she tasked you with.
Pardon, Detective?
I know that your position as a servant in this house is not your only job. What did Countess de Vos ask you to do while in this house?
She said I had to do what she asked, or I would be back on the street. I didn't want to do it. If anyone found out, I would be the prime suspect.
Merci, mademoiselle. I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction. Things are beginning to become clearer.
Is there something you need, Detective? Nothing. She said I was to take nothing.
If it was not something she wished you to take, what was it?
She wanted me to find out information about the family and Monsieur Hagen.
Why did she request that?
At first I didn't know, but when I heard about Mademoiselle Angeline being blackmailed, and then the Major, I knew she had used what I found. I knew Monsieur Archie had a key, and it would be easy to get it from him.
You knew that the Major asked Monsieur Sterling to access the safe from time to time, and if anything was ever discovered missing, he would surely take the blame.
I never took anything. I only told the Countess what I had found.
And that was?
About Monsieur Hagen and the Madame's relationship, and Angeline.
I'm sure the Countess was pleased to hear such valuable information.
She said I had done a good job, but I needed proof. That's why I went back and got the letters last night. I fetched the letters again and took them to the Countess last night. But she shouted at me and said what a stupid girl I was.
You were only doing as she requested.
She said it was too dangerous for her to have them with you around. That's when I returned them to the study. I thought I heard someone on the stairs, so I just threw them back. It was dark as I dared not turn the light on. Someone would have seen it.
Merci, mademoiselle. The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together. What a revelation!
Is there something you need, Detective? That's all. I swear. I heard Monsieur Archie and Monsieur Felix talking about a storeroom, but I haven't found it.
Is the Countess aware of this room?
I told her it was somewhere in the house, but I didn't know where. She wasn't happy with me that I hadn't found it yet.
Merci, mademoiselle. Your honesty today has helped me greatly.
I suppose that I will lose my position at the house now.
That is not my decision to make. But when the whole truth is revealed, it will not be the pawns the law looks to convict. We shall be coming for the queen. Another success. I never doubted myself. Mademoiselle, merci for coming.
Have you had a breakthrough, Detective?
I have. Finally, I have the news you have awaited.
Please, Detective, don't hold me in suspense. Oh my, I feel faint at the thought of knowing who could have done this to us.
It is said to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. It is Countess de Vos that is behind the letters.
I don't believe it. What about the Major's letter?
Not only his, but a letter to Monsieur da Silva.
She was blackmailing him as well? Detective, I just don't know what to say.
Take a moment, mademoiselle. It is a lot of information to take in.
I just don't understand why she would do such a cruel thing. She has never been particularly forthcoming with it, only that she was homeless for some time and that she was at the women's shelter before here.
And it is there that the Countess abused her power and manipulated her to uncover secrets of the family.
All this time she has been working for Margot, doing her dirty work?
I am afraid so, mademoiselle.
Is Maman aware?
You are the first I have told, mademoiselle. Next will be the authorities.
I'm afraid that we'll have to wait. And we will. I want to see her punished to the fullest extent of the law. But we cannot telephone anyone, as the lines are still down.
Monsieur Archibald informed me earlier. I had hoped they would be working again. Last night's snow must have caused more damage than expected.
Last night? They have been done all weekend, Detective. Detective? Are you okay? Detective Poirot? Would you like me to fetch you a glass of water, Detective?
My apologies, mademoiselle. I was taken by surprise for a moment, but I have regained my composure. A glass of water is not required. Would you excuse me? Merci, mademoiselle.